on the scene. The father of the stabbing victim reports that he has undergone a successful surgery and is recovering at the hospital. In a statement from our board chair, the entire Austin community stands in solidarity with these young members of our community who appear to be the latest victims of a surge in anti-Muslim and anti-Palestinian hate across this nation. We encourage law enforcement to file hate crime charges against the suspect, and we also encourage federal law enforcement to open a hate crime probe. In a statement by our National Deputy Director, Edward Ahmed Mitchell, said, the apparent act of hate in Austin appears to be the latest incident of hate motivated by the rise in anti-Palestinian racism and Islamophobia. From the murder of the 6-year-old Wadia outside Chicago to the shooting of 3 college students in Burlington, Vermont, far too many incidents of violence against Muslims, Palestinians, and others who support Palestinian human rights have occurred over the past several months. Those responsible for this violence must be prosecuted to the full extent of the law, and those fomenting the hate that leads to the violence must be condemned.
My name is Zacharia Doar. That's my wife, Odelia Doar. We are the parents of Zacharia Doar. My son is 23 years old, got stabbed on Sunday. He's a father. He's a husband. He's my son. He's our son. What happened on Sunday eliminate him from carrying his son, his 5-month-old son right now. He is in pain, he's in agony, and he really have a message for everybody here. He told me, I want to go, I want to give a message. I say, I don't want you to go out there right now, but tell me what you want to say. He said, Mr. President, Mr. Joe Biden, I blame you. I blame you for what happened to me. If you would have called for a ceasefire 3 months ago, this will have never happened. In my own word, I would say, Alhamdulillah, thank God. Thank God that my son is safe. This is something I've learned to say from the people of Gaza. They taught us to say Alhamdulillah for everything that happened to us. Is it good or bad? Thank God for it. That's all we can say. I really stand here begging and asking for city councilmen, for the president, for the mayor, for Greg Abbott, to call for a ceasefire, to call for an end for this madness. This hate that's going around need to stop. If y'all took action 3 months ago, nobody would have been hurt. This has come to hunt us in our homeland. It's come to hunt us in the US. It's come to hunt us in Texas. This is not acceptable. And I beg you to call an end for this madness and stop the genocide in Gaza. We beg you to take action. Look at the human side of it, please. This is not just about Zacharia or me or our beloved brothers in Vermont or Michigan. It's about humanity everywhere in the world and humanity in Gaza. Please take action immediately and stop the genocide in Gaza. Thank you very much.
I just want to start by saying I'm so impressed by the grace and equanimity of my fellow speakers because they are entitled to be furious. I'm furious. JVP stands with the Muslim, Arab, and Palestinian communities here in Austin, and we urge that this be investigated as a hate crime. There's a very toxic notion that Jewish safety is somehow mutually exclusive with Palestinian, Arab, and Muslim safety. This notion is false, and I believe that our leaders have perpetuated it. In fact, our safety is deeply intertwined, as is everyone's safety. I just reject that notion wholeheartedly. And This hatred has to stop. There's been such an outswell of support for the Jewish community, and I have seen nothing for the Muslim community, the Arab community, or the Palestinian community. I call on our leaders to make a statement, a real statement that is not an afterthought, as was the case at my university. That is all.
Ceasefire now, in the name of all that is holy. Stop the dehumanization of our Palestinian siblings now, and stop it now to prevent further violence.
Good morning, y'all. My name is Councilmember Qadri. I represent City Council District 9 here in Austin. Truthfully, I'm at a loss of words, which doesn't happen often. But I was gutted when I heard about the news about what happened on Sunday night. I reached out to Brother Nizar, and I just came back from visiting Zacharia at the hospital. I was very inspired by his strength and his courage through it all, and very thankful for another brother who was at the scene who rendered aid to Zacharia. I think everything that happened, all the horrific events that happened on October 7th and everything that's happened since then, my biggest fear here in Austin was if the violence was to come here to Austin and we would see folks in the Jewish community or Muslim community touched by this violence. And I think that became a reality on Sunday night. I'm deeply troubled by what happened. When I was talking to Zacharia, he was telling me that he has a friend who goes to UT who walks the path where he was stabbed, and that it could have been his friend, or it could have been someone else. And I know that UT, is a diverse community that calls many folks from the Muslim faith and the Jewish faith home. And knowing that this could have been one of them just terrifies me. And we've seen violence happen in Chicago, where a 6-year-old Palestinian boy was stabbed to death. We saw this violence happen in Michigan, where a rabbi was stabbed to death. And we saw this happen in Vermont, where 3 Palestinians were shot. And what's happened here in Austin is it's beyond horrifying. I'm thankful for everyone here today. I'm thankful for APD, and I've been in constant conversations with Chief Henderson as we get more details on the situation. And my heart truthfully breaks not only for Nizar and his family, but all families here in Austin that are hurting, that went to bed last night a little bit more afraid than they did the day before. And I think it's important for us, whether it be local leaders. I know we have Representative Goodwin here from the state, and all our leaders, all the way up to the top, to speak out against hate in all its forms. So with that, I will pass it off to Brother Carol.
Way to go, Zo.
And the city of Austin. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Nizar. And thank you again, State Representative Vicki Goodwin, for being here.
To kind of help express our sentiment and our thoughts and how we feel. I work with the Muslim Coalition for Palestine. We've been organizing protests in the city of Dallas, the same way the Austin Coalition for Palestine has been working in Austin. We came down here to promote peace and to share that violence is not acceptable, it's not the answer. And we were met with violence. We are not going to stop until we get full justice for what happened to our friend, to our son, to our volunteer, to our brother, and to the member of our community who was a victim here last night. It's worth noting that the family who is currently grieving spent very little time talking about and they were still hyper-fixated on the situation in Gaza. It's worth noting that even after Governor Abbott has consistently stood for Israel and supported them while Americans and Texans are struggling to afford health care, are struggling to afford housing, are struggling to get basic necessities, his priority was to go to Israel and to focus on them. And yet, even then, with such an injustice, he was invited to their home. When the media talks about what happened, I kindly ask that you guys tell the truth and only the truth. Please don't twist it. I've seen stories from the mainstream media talking about how a girl was in a car and a bullet hit her. She was murdered in cold blood in Gaza. I've seen stories about a building exploding in Gaza. No, it was a direct missile from Israel killing innocent people. Tell it for what it is. Because when you change this narrative, what you're actually doing is dehumanizing them and empowering people like the man who came out yesterday and stabbed an innocent Palestinian American. Let's not forget, this happened here in Texas. Let's not forget, this is a Texan, and one drop of his blood is more important to us as Americans than any amount of buildings and infrastructure and financial developments that Governor Abbott and Joe Biden has been hyper-fixated on. We are here speaking as the people and speaking for the people, and we can never, ever forget that. It is our duty to continue calling for a ceasefire. It's our duty to keep saying, end the violence. That is what we are here for, and we will accept nothing less. Thank you so much.